Hey everybody, Argent here. So I was kind of in the mood to do a stream today. Just got home from Fan Expo. So I just want to, let's see if I can get the chat working. The chat's been kind of stubborn lately. Let me see here, test. Why is it having so much trouble? That's kind of what I want to know. This is what... oh, okay, there we go. It is coming through. So that's coming through. Let me see. Is my stream on Twitch working? Looks like the stream on Twitch is working properly as well. So that's cool. Let's see here. For some reason, this is an untitled broadcast on Twitch. I don't know why. Let me see if I can fix this. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure I did title this video, but it doesn't seem to want to let me title it. Let's see here. CK2 through Crusader Kings 2. Let's see here. Tags Game of Thrones. Yeah, so I thank you. I never know how to pronounce your name. Scudum? Sanctum? Scudum? I don't know how to pronounce it. So, I wanted to do a stream of Game of Thrones for Crusader. Oops. Okay, I have to change my... Actually, let me see here. Sorry, I just have to adjust the resolution. Just the resolution is cutting part of it off. So, let me just reload this. Scudum. Okay, Scudum. Okay, that makes sense to me. So yeah, so we're gonna play a couple. I'm gonna play a couple different scenarios in Game of Thrones. We'll see what people want, and we'll do that. Yeah, sorry for whatever reason. It's really weird in terms of how this goes on the page. Your Twitch is ahead a couple seconds. Oh, okay. Well, it is what it is. Nothing I can do, but I digress. Let's see here. So I'm trying to think what scenarios we should look at. I kind of want to see what they did with the Aegon the Fifth one. First question, is this a mod? Is this mod a must-have? Yeah, they put a lot of effort into this mod. I'll just show off the mod for a minute. So this is the Game of Thrones mod for CK2. So as you can see, they've done all of the known world, from Ashai to, well, Westeros. Of course, we don't know what's north of the Lands of Always Winter, so we can't really have that. And they put all the religions in. So we have the Great Stallion, we have the gods of Hykroon, or whatever you call it, the gods of Yeti, the Stonecrow of Pharos, the Harpy, Raylor. Oh, Twitch doesn't allow stream to other platforms? Oh. Well, I don't know. We'll deal with that when it happens. What was I thinking of? Oh, well, I'll deal with that Super 360 if Twitch bans me. I don't really care, to be perfectly honest. It's not like I really have done anything on this yet. DSP said that. Oh, is it true, or is that just something DSP said? Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Okay, so the mod has basically everything. We have the Bleeding Years, or the Century of Blood that happened immediately after the fall of Valyria. And they have all kinds of little touches into this that are really interesting. Like, they even have Hirano, or Horono, who was a guy who tried to change the Triarchy and make himself Triarch for life, which is pretty cool. So, like, that's just a little historical touch that was mentioned very briefly, but they put that in. What else do we have? We have... I'm trying to find his name. There's an interesting character. Maybe it's not in this one. There's, like, a separate mod, which is for the bleeding years, and it adds some additional content for the bleeding years. One of the things it adds is Emperor Aegon, or Arion. I forget what his name is, but... oh. Okay. I'm trying to remember his name. Emperor Aegon. But anyways, he was the other Dragon Lord who managed to survive the Doom of Valyria. And he tried to found his own empire. What he wound up doing, though, was... marching to Valyria with like 10,000, with 30,000 men, and he was never seen again. So you have that. You have the Wars of Conquest, where it covers all of Aegon's conquests, so you can do that. We also have all kinds of stuff. We have the Dance of Dragons, which is a cool scenario. We have the Conquest of Dorne, which is kind of not that interesting. The Blackfire Rebellions. We have the Tale of Dunk and Egg as a playable scenario. We have the War of the Ninepenny Kings. It's interesting to try to play as the Ninepenny Kings, but it's basically impossible to win. Robert's Rebellion is always a good one. I haven't really tried that one. The Crown Stag is kind of the... I guess the default. It's kind of the... I'm trying to remember what it is. The Stanford Bridge or something like that in CK2, which is the normal start. So yeah, so Crown Stag is kind of like that. So that takes place right at the right after Robert's Rebellion. So what is it, like 16 years before Game of Thrones? Then we have the Greyjoy Rebellion. Then we have a Clash of Kings. Actually, Clash of Kings is interesting because they put in, for Daenerys, she gets like an RPG, like there's a big series of events. It's kind of interesting to play as Robb Stark. You can actually win the war. It's not too hard. It is challenging, yes, but it's not impossible. And then they put in a Feast for Crows, and that's what we're going to take a look at today. We'll see how it goes. So, for those of you who... Or actually, let me just see here. Is it okay to have spoilers in? Because there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this. Oh, well, no one's watching this anyways. So, let's see here. We have... I am looking for Aegon. Where is Aegon? Lord Aegon of Rainhouse. Okay, turn off turn on spoilers. Turn on Jon Snow. Okay, let's go. All right then. So we're going to play as my favorite character. Oh, sorry, the person I support for the Iron Throne. Well, actually, there's a couple people I support for the Iron Throne. I like Aegon the Sixth Targaryen a lot. Were you able to get all the DLC with this? I have to catch up with the DLC for CK2. I haven't purchased DLC since Rajas of India. The DLC has just been like a fucking disaster recently. I just lost 25 quid playing blackjack, but other than that, I'm good. Let's see here. So we're playing as Aegon the Sixth Targaryen, aka Young Griff. Maybe there'll probably be an event that'll fire that will let me marry somebody, so we're gonna keep it open. So let's see, what are the traits that they gave the young dragon. We have attractive. We have quick. We have squire. I thought he was a knight by this point. Trained fighter. Scholar. Humble. Temperate. Ambitious. And brave. So as Aegon, we have excellent stats. Faith of the Seven, of course. Yeah. So let us continue. So let's see. Hopefully, an event will fire that'll kind of tell me what's going on. So we need to see Storm's End. So I'll send an army. I'll send myself to go do that. So for those of you who aren't aware, Aegon is a book-only character. So he bills himself as being the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, the other son of Rhaegar Targaryen, who's not Jon Snow. So what his claim is when let's see here. Rickon Stark, who was long thought to be murdered by Theon Greyjoy, but Stannis Baratheon and Lord Manderly claim to have found him, rescued by the smuggler Davos Seaworth. They now name him Lord of Winterfell. Yeah, okay. So, what was I looking at? Let me just make sure that chat is... Yeah, okay, chat's going fine. So yeah, so the story is that Varys switched the babies before Rhaegar Clegane could kill them. Sir John had maybe promised I would bury him properly, and I kept my promises. I walked beside his coffin to Sir John's last rest. Okay, so I'm going to say Vaelor Morghulis. My friend deserves a proper funeral. Let's see here. I don't really have any money, so I'll just go with that. Let's see here. Do I have any vassals at the moment, or any levies that I can raise? Okay. Oh, I can actually siege Storm's End now. So, yeah, so Rhaegar Targaryen and Aelia Martell's children were both killed by Rhaegar Clegane. You remember what is it called again? You raped her, you killed her children, prepare to die. My name is Intio Montoya. You killed my daughter, prepare to die. Let's see here. The inheritance of some small property, so I can either give it to Sir Rolly Duck or Sir Maelor. Who the hell is Sir Maelor? I'll give it to Sir Rolly Duck, I think. Okay, so let's see here. Sir John Cullington is now dead, and we'll continue the siege of Storm's End, which is being held by Lord Andrew. Let's see here. Do I think Star Wars Episode 8 will be any good? No, it'll probably be shitty. What is the Stranger? Okay, so in the Faith of the Seven, there is the six main... Gods is not accurate, because the seven is not... It's not polytheism, it's the seven who are one. So they believe that God has seven faces that cover the entirety of human experience. So there's the Father, who's judgment, justice, kind of a Zeus-like figure. Then we have the Mother, who's mercy, etc. Basically the Virgin Mary. We have the Maiden. Yeah, I don't have to go through all of them. But the Stranger is the seventh one, because you have the three female, you have the three females, the three males, and then you have the one who's neither. So the Stranger represents death and the unknown. The Stranger is basically the aspect of God that is unknowable to us. So he's widely feared. There is how, it's fairly common, I think, to not include the Stranger in prayers. It's also, as far as I can tell, fairly common for the... I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's fairly common to include the Stranger in prayers. The prayers they do make are something like, please don't come and kill us in the night, is basically what the prayers of the Stranger is like. Please don't come and kill us in our sleep. So That's basically what the stranger is. And the... What? What the fuck? Fucking bugged mechanics. Oh. Okay, so we lost that because despite my character leading an army, for whatever reason, they were able to capture me when they took the holding. But my character wasn't at the holding, so I don't understand how they were able to capture me. It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to retry this. I'm just going to cheat. You have to sometimes do that in Paradox games just because you just have to cheat, I find a lot of the time. Because if you don't cheat, then shit just doesn't really work. I know a lot of times you have to cheat with regards to diplomacy because diplomacy just doesn't really function in the Paradox strategy games. At least in a lot of cases. So, yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to hire some mercenaries. Shouldn't I get the Golden Company? Let's see here. Do I start out with the Golden Company? Where is it? Delegate the granting of honorary titles. The Poor Fellows, the Warrior's Sons. Let's see, I'll hire a couple additional groups. Is it just me or are the Dothraki incredibly lame? Well, the thing you have to keep in mind about the Dothraki is the Dothraki are fucking lame. They're absolute shit. Because I think a lot of people don't understand when it comes to the Mongols is that the Mongols, in addition, a lot of people just think of the Mongols as having their heavy cavalry, having their light cavalry. The Mongols, like when you think of a Mongol army, kind of the traditional picture is just an army of entirely light cavalry archers. Nothing else. They just fire and retreat. They just fire and retreat. And that tends to be how people think of the Mongols. But in truth, only 2/3 of the Mongol army was cavalry archers. The other third were lancers. The Mongols had excellent heavy cavalry. They had probably the best heavy cavalry in the world, aside from Western Europeans. The Mongol lancers would, generally speaking, wear coats of lamellar, particularly steel lamellar, especially after they conquered China. They would also drape their horses in steel lamellar armor, which is, I think, something very important to keep in mind. So the Mongols had excellent heavy cavalry, and up to 1/3 of their army would be medium and heavy cavalry. So a lot of cases what they would do is they'd have the horse archers break up the ranks of their opponents, and then the heavy cavalry would just come in and thunder down, and it crashed because it's a fucking Paradox game, and Paradox games aren't stable. So yeah, what was I saying again? Right, so yeah, they'd break them apart, and then the Mongol lancers would come in and would just annihilate everything that was left. Probably the biggest advantage of the Mongols is their discipline. The Mongols were extremely disciplined. They would be able to lead armies to chase them for days after days after days, and just they'd be willing to retreat. They'd be willing to move in perfect formation. That was, I think, probably their biggest strength, was just how extreme their discipline was when they were going along. So I think that's something important to keep in mind about the Mongols, because they're kind of viewed as a horde, which was just all a bunch of stupid light cavalry archers. But particularly later on, they had excellent They had excellent heavy cavalry. They had excellent organization, very disciplined. The lamellar armor is not quite as good as full plate. Nothing can really match full European steel plate. The fact that it was used well into the firearms era and continued to be used by heavy cavalry for a long amount of time, I think is evidence of just how effective European full plate is. Nevertheless, whatchamacallit, lamellar is perfectly functional and very useful armor. It's excellent for cavalry, particularly when the Mongols were fighting people who didn't have nearly as good equipment. So yeah, so the Mongols were very well organized. So why am I talking about this? Because a lot of people basically talk about the Dothraki as being a Mongol equivalent. And my point is, as far as we can tell, all the Dothraki have is light cavalry. All they have is they don't even really seem to have archers. If you ever look at how the Dothraki fight, they don't even have cavalry archers. It's just entirely people with the shitty sickle swords. And that's just not a very useful weapon. There's a reason why lances were used by cavalry since the time of Alexander the Great. The sword is not the primary weapon of cavalry. Actually, the sword was not a primary weapon of a lot of people. An interesting thing about the Japanese, and it's something a lot of people don't really, I think, realize, is that the primary weapon of a samurai was not a katana. A katana is probably his third weapon. So the first weapon that they would use normally is a naginata, or the primary weapon of a samurai was his bow. In fact, samurai initially were used as horse archers. So if you ever look at a yumi, the yumi is asymmetrical, so it can be fired from horseback. So the primary weapon of a samurai would be his yumi, and then the primary melee weapon would be a spear, either a yari or a naginata, and a katana is a backup weapon. The other thing about katanas is the steel used to make them is shit. That's because the steel in the iron ore in the Japanese Isles is just not very good, which is an ongoing problem the Japanese had. From my understanding, they had to ban duels between Europeans and samurai, because what the Portuguese were using is a thing called a sword breaker, which is basically it's kind of hard to describe. It's like a dagger with teeth, and what you use it for is catching swords and snapping them. And it actually worked pretty good because katanas were of such horrible quality. You know how they always talk about it was folded 10,000 times or whatever? That was because the quality of steel was so shitty in Japan. That's not to say it's necessarily the Japanese's fault, but it was just the quality of stuff they had available at the time. There's always this meme about samurai armor. If you look at actual samurai armor is not particularly... It weighs virtually the same as full plate. It doesn't really weigh less, and it doesn't really make you more mobile. I try to remember his name. There's this guy on YouTube who has a full suit of historically accurate plate mail, and he like runs in it. He does jumping jacks in it. He does a what's it called again? A Mopatis. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you can run in it, you can jump in it, he does an obstacle course with it. European full plate is very flexible. There's also this whole idea that it is fairly heavy, but it's very well distributed. The weight of full plate is not really anything more than what a modern soldier would carry in his backpack. Actually, my understanding is it's less, but it was very well distributed across the body. So yeah, full plate was excellent. It basically made you invincible. It wasn't even really until till we get proper firearms that you have. Yeah. Another kind of meme is that early guns weren't good. That early guns were shitty for some reason compared to bow and arrows. And the thing that's kind of... Oh, another thing, just a side note. A katana is not lighter than a longsword. A katana weighs about the same or is even a little heavier than a longsword. It's also much more... It's also much weaker, of course. It's, yeah. Knight Errant, that's what I'm thinking of. Thank you, Oscar Feinstein. There's this video, I think it's like... It's Blue Mountain or something. There's a video where the guy is showing off samurai armor. He's like, it's the best armor ever. And he hits it with a sword, and it literally just falls apart. Because it's lamellar, but it's like shitty lamellar. So if you hit it with anything with an edge, the blade just goes right, just saws it in half, and it just falls apart. I don't know. I don't think swords weighs... I think European swords weigh like 3 pounds or something, but they're pretty similar. Yeah, but with regards to firearms, people say, oh, firearms were shitty. But if you look at it, any group of people who could use early firearms used them. Like when the samurai first were exposed to them, if they could get, they got as many guns as they could get their hands on. It was not considered to be beneath a samurai to use them. See, the White Walker of Winter. Ooh, boy. Well, that's not good. Oh, well, I'm sure it'll all work out fine. I'm just going to continue my war here. But yeah, the samurai were pretty happy to use weapons whenever they could. Use guns, I mean. So let's see here. What the hell is going on? So Winter's pretty much conquered everything at this point in time. But yeah, there's really nothing that can match a European knight when deployed properly. Now, the trick to fighting European knights is you just don't engage them directly, which is what the Mongols were good at, was wearing them out, drawing them into traps, peppering them with arrows. But in a one-on-one fight, there's very little that can kill a European knight. It's just pretty much impossible. That's just how good full plate is. As I said, it was used for a long time. Even just breastplates were used well into the era of firearms. If you look at, I think it's like Renaissance plate and kind of later plate, like 30 Years War era, they would have a little ding on the breastplate. Because what an armorer would do was once he had finished full plate, is he'd fire a pistol into it at point blank range, and it'd make a little ding in it, and that was to show that it was proof against small arms fire. So yeah, they would still have heavy cavalry still existed, and they would wear breastplates. Breastplates were used for a really long time. So what was I thinking of again? Yeah, full plate mail. So it looks like we've just about won the war against Stannis. So he will surrender the Stormlands to me, and then I can continue. Everything is basically a complete and total mess at the moment. Let me see what traits Tommen has. Widow's Wail. Kind, honorable, brave. He has pretty good traits. Let's look at Marjorie. Attractive, quick, fashionable, Velkener, family person, ambitious, lustful, charitable. Then we have Lord Paramount Willis of the Reach. I always like Willis. I'm kind of sad that Sansa didn't marry Willis. There's very few fanfics where you have Willis and Sansa, which I'm kind of sad about because I really like Willis. What are the requirements for cavalry to be heavy? It's normally an armor thing. I'd say it's more of a role thing than anything else. Heavy cavalry is designed to break formations and to primarily charge from the front, normally with lances. It is kind of the traditional thing of heavy cavalry. It's more of that than it is an actual. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. I would kind of describe them as anyone that uses lances and charge from the front. Now, I do think the Muslims did periodically use heavy cavalry. If I do recall, I think they copied cataphracts from the whatchamacallit, the Byzantines. Yeah, I think they copied it from the Byzantines. So, yeah, that was something that the Mongols did. The Mongols, the Muslims did. But generally speaking, the Mongols really never mastered heavy cavalry. Light cavalry archers are far from invincible. Foot archers can only beat cavalry archers just because it's easier to shoot when you're not on horseback. What was I saying again? Thinking of again. Yeah, so what the Europeans did during the Crusades is they would have their knights dismount and they'd form a shield wall. Bows can't really do much against full plate. Arrows will just bounce off of full plate, especially if you have a shield. So they'd get dismounted knights with shield, and then with the dismounted knights with shield, they would go and they would combine that with crossbowmen. And the crossbowmen would just kind of beat the living crap out of the light cavalry, and the light cavalry couldn't really do anything about it. The light cavalry would just get absolutely slaughtered. And that kind of tended to be what would happen whenever Europeans and Muslims fought. And whenever the Crusaders would keep their discipline and maintain formation, they would normally beat the living shit out of Mongols, out of the Muslims. But the problem is that didn't always happen. Let's see here if I can get any of... So I've won that battle, and now I'm Lord Paramount of the Westerlands. Let's see here. And I get to continue the fight against the Call to Arms. Let's see if I can call any of these people to help me out against the Iron Throne. I don't know if I have the Golden Company or not. If I do, I should really be able to help them. Let's see here. Okay, so the Swans decided to help me out. Let's see here. So oh, fuck. Oh, I'm not going to be able to win this. I'm going to lose, aren't I? The Lannisters just have too many men. The Lannisters have like 20,000 guys. And I have pretty much nothing left. For whatever reason in this mod, they didn't give me the Golden Company. Try to employ the Golden Company. The Golden Company is employed by me. That was kind of the entire point of Aegon's invasion, was that you would have the support of the Golden Company. So that's kind of bugged lore mechanics. Yes, dragons generate magic. Magic only works whenever there's dragons around. That's why you can hear various people. Melisandre talks about it. The Warlocks talk about it. A lot of people talk about how magic seems to be coming back into the world recently. And that's because there are dragons that exist. Okay, let's see here. Sure, I'll take support from the Iron Bank. I am playing as Aegon the 6th Targaryen. And I have the... Let's see here. The Golden Company just showed up, so I should be able to fight them now. Let's see. The Golden Company... Oh, they... What the fuck? Oh, that is bugged. How would dragons ever go extinct? The thing is, most of the dragons were at Valyria when the Doom of Valyria happened. So the vast majority of dragons died during the Doom of Valyria. So that is how dragons basically went extinct. Okay, so I lost. So there's nothing I can do. It is what it is, but I digress. Okay, so let me see here. Who else should I try playing as? What's the Doom of Valyria? Well, that's a good question. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll play War of Conquest. That should be fun. Okay, so the story of Valyria. So Valyria was an empire that covered most of the known world. Let's see here. The empire thing should show it. So that was all of Valyria plus Giscard. So all of what we know is the free cities plus all of Giscard was part of Valyria. The Valyrian freehold was a oligarchy ruled by the dragon lords that come from the lands of Always Summer. So the lands of Always Summer are down here in the Smoking Sea. So there was 14 volcanoes in Valyria, and the dragon lords ruled from the 14 fires. And Valyria was an empire built on, well, fire and blood, as the Targaryen motto is. Let's see here. So anyways, what was I saying about the Targaryens? I lost my train of thought there. Anyways, yeah, so Valyria was a freehold, and the Valyrians first discovered dragons. So, or we don't really know the origin of dragons. There's a number of different theories as to where dragons came from. Some people think that dragons initially came from a shy, beyond a shy in the shadow. Some people think that that they were a native species to the 14 Flames. And the people of Quarth claim that there was a second moon at one point. And the second moon cracked open and dragons came out of it. Now that's obviously not true. But the fact remains that... Okay, let's see here. Can I declare war on people yet? But the fact remains that... I'm not sure, though. The dragons could be a native species of Valyria. But anyways, the Dragon Lords of Valyria, who have the Valyrian features, which is white, very pale skin, white hair, and violet eyes, came out from the coast of... came out from Valyria, and riding on their dragons, they conquered most of the known world. So yeah, they conquered all of this. All of what we know today as the free cities were large colonies of Valyria. Funnily enough, or humorously enough, the island of Lys started out as a Valyrian resort town. So the Lyseni are the most pure Valyrians in the world, other than the nobility of Volantis. So Lys was a resort town that people would fly their dragons to. So at one point there was thousands of dragons, and yeah, the Valyrians would just ride out and conquer them. They had a number of major wars. One of their big wars was against the Rhoynish, who would eventually come down and settle in the southern part of Westeros. But like, they actually gave them some trouble. They actually killed a couple dragons, which is a rarity. What else was I thinking? Yeah, so the Valyrians are a super white people. They're like the whitest people possible, which is probably why Daenerys is the Queen of the Muds, because, well, yeah. What was I thinking about again? Yeah, so Valyria succeeded in conquering most of the known world, which was something pretty common. Sorry, so they conquered most of the known world, and Valyria was known for being an immensely cruel empire. Valyria was built entirely on slavery. Valyria was built on slavery. They just slaughtered. They would conquer entire nations and put them into chains, all to feed the 14 flames. So what was I thinking of again? So the Valyrians would... Yeah, so they would bring in slaves because the 14 flames were covered in... They were the richest mines outside of Casterly Rock. They were full of jewels, gold, everything. So it's considered to be the absolute worst... I can't even imagine something worse. Can you imagine being a slave in a mine in a volcano? Is there anything worse than living in a slave in a volcano mine? I actually find it hard to think of something possibly worse. So it was so bad in the volcano mines that's where the Faceless Men come from. The Faceless Men showed up and they gave the slaves the gift of death. So they would give the slaves the gift of death by, well, stabbing them to death. They went and started to kill the slaves, and they also killed the masters. Now, as far as we know, and it's kind of a lot of speculation, the 14 Flames had not... Roman slaves working in the mines are pretty bad. Yeah, well, Valyria is basically based on Rome. Valyria even has Valyrian roads, so... What was I thinking of again? But yeah, so... They would work in the mines of the 14 Flames. So the 14 Flames hadn't erupted in thousands of years. And it was because the Valyrians had pyromancers who were using magic to quell the flames. So the pyromancers would prevent the... let's see here. Wait a minute. I can have sex with my mother? What the fuck? Okay, that's too fucked up even for the Targaryens. So it was thought that the pyromancers were keeping the 14 Flames from erupting at bay. Some people think that the Valyrians did mass human sacrifices. So the mass human sacrifices of the Valyrians were preventing the volcanoes from erupting. So it's commonly believed that the Faceless Men killed a bunch of the pyromancers. And once the pyromancers was dead, there was nobody left to stop to hold back the first flames. So the first flames, the 14 flames erupted, and not the first flame. This isn't Dark Souls. But yeah, so the 14 flames erupted and they destroyed Valyria. Now, most of the Valyrians and almost all of the dragons live there because the dragons like to live in volcanoes because they're fucking dragons. So yeah, so the dragons like to live in the 14 flames. But when it was destroyed, most of the dragon lords died. Now, there was two who escaped it. One was Arion, who was living up in Qohor, but he immediately marched back to Valyria and was able to, and attempting to retake it, and him and his 30,000 men were never seen again. Now, the great-great-great-grandfather of Aegon the Conqueror, sorry, great-great-great-grandmother of... Do you think an afterlife exists in Game of Thrones? I will talk about that later. I'm just getting through the story of the Doom of Valyria, and then I'll address that issue. Just, yeah. So, what was I talking about again? Yeah, so the Doom of Valyria. So, clap their leader in irons. And yeah, so the great-great-great-grandmother of... How did they kill the dragons if they just live in the lava anyways? I don't think they live in the lava. I think they just like the heat around it. I think it's their natural environment. But no, I don't think they actually like physically live in the lava. As far as I know, at least. Let's see. Create another High Lordship. And I can create the Kingdom of Dragonstone. So I'm a king now. So that's good. So I get a castle there. Oh, Dry Den. Let's see here. I will give that to my bastard brother, Orys Baratheon. You can have a Dry Den as your seat for the moment. What was I thinking about again? I just kind of lost my train of thought there. Yeah, so the great-great-great-grandmother of Aegon Targaryen had a vision of the Doom. She was able to foretell the Doom for whatever reason, and because of that, she... Yep, I'll legitimize Orys Baratheon. Okay, so Orys Baratheon is now my heir. So the Targaryens were not the most powerful of the Dragon Lords, nor were they the most prestigious, but they were the wisest. So they fled the freehold to Dragonstone, which was the westernmost outpost of the Valyrian Empire. The Valyrians, for whatever reason, never decided to invade Westeros. Most people believe it's because they thought that wargs could take control of dragons, and they were too afraid to find out if wargs could take control of dragons. So... Right, so they sold their land in there, and they took their dragons to Dragonstone. And after that happened, they... waited there for almost 100 years, and then Aegon the Conqueror took his 3 dragons and was able to conquer Westeros and forge the Iron Throne together. Pretty much all of the dragons died during the civil war known as the Dance of the Dragons, and after that, magic began to leave the world since, well, all the dragons were dead, and dragons are what creates magic. Let's see here. Cersei will be in Toronto last week. My friend is a valet at the hotel and will meet her. He asked what he should say. I don't know, just say that she does a really good job as Cersei. I think Lena Headey is a really good actress. She does a good job. I don't really like the direction necessarily that Cersei's character has gone in the show, but she's done a really good job of creating a character you love to hate. there's a lot of people who are actually really mean to her at conventions, and that kind of bothers me because she's not her character. I mean, Lena Headey isn't Cersei Lannister. She's playing she's an actress. I think also people have been dicks to the guy who plays Joffrey. I forget his name. But, yeah. My sister and I watch the show every week, and we love Cersei. Let's see here. Okay, so there's a coalition against me from all the kings of Westeros, which is fine. All I have to do is just take Rook's Reach. You aren't Argent IRL Argent. That's an interesting question. What was I thinking about? Okay, and there we go. Now I can start my conquest of the Seven Kingdoms. Joffrey's actor got a bunch of death threats. Yeah, that really irritates me. I mean, he's just playing a character. The fact that you hate him shows that he's doing a good job of playing the character. But no, it's bullshit. So let's do what Aegon the Conqueror did traditionally. And we're going to invade the Stormlands next. So invade the Stormlands. So I'm going to raise my small army. The Targaryens didn't really have that big an army, but I have dragons, and really that's all that matters. Nothing on heaven and earth can challenge a dragon. I'm saying you don't act like your online persona all the time. It's kind of an exaggerated version of me. I'm fairly similar in IRL. I mean, it depends. Like, at the moment, I'm not really... This is pretty much what I'm like IRL. When I'm doing, like, a chicken tendies or, like, a Death to Normies video, that's obviously me just acting. I'm kind of playing a character there. But it's... I don't know. When I'm doing streams like this is pretty similar to what I'm like in real life. Okay, so let us take Storm's End. Dracarys. Okay, and where is... I need another one. Do you think Khal Drogo is rightly riding his house in the sky? Okay, so Princess Aegla. So I want her to marry Orys Baratheon. I can't make her marry Orys Baratheon. Ow. That sucks. That's what happened historically. So the question of an afterlife in Game of Thrones, it's never established. George R. R. Martin has said he'll never confirm nor deny which gods actually exist in the Game of Thrones universe. Because he wants to leave it... What the fuck? It crashed again? This game is fucking bugged and unfair. So does an afterlife exist in Game of Thrones? I don't think we can know. I don't really know if we can say anyway. Most religions don't really discuss the afterlife. I don't know what the afterlife is in R'hllor. It's weird. It's annoying that R'hllor doesn't have a name. Like, there's Faith of the Seven. There's most of the religions don't seem to have names. They're just the name of the god, which is kind of difficult when referring to it. Like R'hllor, is it R'hlorism? Is it the faith of R'hllor? Is it the Red God? There's not like a name for the religion per se, which is kind of confusing, to be honest. So yeah, there's a bunch of different theories as to that. If anybody knows what what they believe in terms of like what Relor believes, or worshippers of the Red God believe as far as an afterlife goes, yeah, Asha Greyjoy looks really weird in the show. I really don't like her. Not only as a thought, but I don't find her attractive. What was I thinking about again? Yeah, so I don't know what the afterlife is like in Relore. I don't know if the many-faced god, if in the religion of the faceless men, they have a concept of the afterlife. What a lot of people seem to think about with the many-faced god is that the faceless men believe in something kind of like Brahmin, where once people die, they become part of the many-faced god, where kind of individual existence is kind of a prison, and that once you die, your soul becomes part of the many-faced god once again, and that's why they view death as being a good thing, much like the Hindus do, because it liberates you from the wheel of suffering. So that's probably my best guess as to what it is. Okay. I want... Let's see here. Can I marry her to... I want to marry her to Orys Baratheon. All hail the Dragon King. Let's see here. I'll release her. I'll execute him. Feed him to my dragon. That's funny. He will be beheaded. So did I inherit the Stormlands? Let's see. I want to marry him to... What's her name? Who has the kingship of the Stormlands? I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do now. Give me a minute. Let me just look at the dashboard. So yeah, we have no idea what that is. We have no idea how they believe in the afterlife with regards to Relor. We have no idea if the what are they called again? The what are the other gods again? I don't remember. I keep losing my train of thought. Okay, so the next kingdom we're going to conquer is the Iron Isles. I can't declare war for some reason. Okay, then maybe the Reach will be the next kingdom I conquer, which is the largest kingdom of Westeros by far. Let's see here. I always think that the Reach has probably like 40% of the population of Westeros, or some really high amount. Because it is by far the most populous of the Seven Kingdoms by like a huge margin. Okay, I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off. I think Game of Thrones is a lot better than Lord of the Rings. There we go. I said it. I don't like Lord of the Rings. I never have. I like the movies, But yeah, okay, the High Lordship of Kraken's Point. Okay, sure. But no, it's not a franchise I like or really enjoy. So yeah, I think A Song of Ice and Fire is much better in terms of lore. I find the characters much more interesting. I don't know. The characters I think in the Lord of the Rings books are awful. They're one dimensional. They're not interesting. I don't find the lore interesting at all. I don't know. I've just never liked Tolkien. I think he's extremely overrated. I hated reading the books. Like, I read them a long time ago, and they were a chore to get through. It was just so boring. But like I said, in popular opinion, everyone kind of just loves Tolkien in these circles. Everybody loves. I don't understand why everybody loves him so much. I've never understood that. I have to like suffer through rereading them at some point. Maybe I'll like them better now that I'm older, but it's just I don't know. There we go. Now everybody's gonna unsub for me. Yeah, Tolkien's characters are awful. Lord of the Rings is supposed to be more like mythology than modern fantasy books. People are supposed to be archetypes. Yeah, I know that, but that doesn't make it like interesting or fun to read. The Lord of the Rings movies were way better. But like, if we're gonna, as far as Lord of the Rings, as far as I'm trying to think about it, losing my train of thought again. That seems to happen a lot. There we go, and I've conquered the Reach. And I will leave the Gardeners in power. And he is now Lord Paramount. So I need to conquer a couple more Westeros kingdoms. And then I will... I can forge Westeros. Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. Yeah, as far as kind of modern myth goes and creating a modern mythology, I think the Dark Souls games are really good for that. I think they're excellent. I did a video about it called The Making of Modern Myth where I talk about it. I think they kind of capture the nature of mythology, in my view, better than Lord of the Rings does, but that's just me. As I've said, a lot of people probably hate me for that, but it is what it is. Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls only, please. My favorite Dark Souls game is actually Dark Souls 2. Once again, unpopular opinion, I find I'm the only person who likes it. I don't think it's as good as Dark Souls 1 lore-wise, but I think it has the best gameplay of the three. The bosses are not good, but I really like how the hack and slash works in it compared to the other games. I thought if I had to like put them in order, I'd say Dark Souls 1 has the best story and the second best gameplay. I'd say Dark Souls 2 has the best gameplay and the worst story, and I'd say Dark Souls 3 has kind of like a moderate story and the worst gameplay. So it's kind of a toss-up between the different Souls games as to which one I think is the best. I'd say 3 is the worst as far as my thinking goes. I did not like the gameplay in 3 at all. I liked the environment. I liked a lot of the other aspects of it, but I didn't like it as much as I liked 2. Let's see here. Let's take Lannisport and make the Lannisters surrender. Why won't he surrender? I don't. What else am I gonna have to do? I've pretty much. Maybe I have to beat another Lannister army. Okay, there we go. The King of the Rock surrenders, and I will disband this. Yeah, the Iron Keep in Dark Souls 2 is ridiculously difficult. It is the hardest part of the game. Someone asked about the His Dark Materials series. The His Dark Materials series has like one of the most depressing endings of like any game I've ever played. I really hated the ending of the His Dark Materials series. I just found it really, as I said, really depressing. I don't really know how else to describe it. Like, they kill God for some reason. Like, what the fuck was that about? It was just random. It just kind of turned into misery porn near the end. And all they did were like, oh, we want to face Oblivion. Argent, you get dragons in this mod? Yeah, I don't know if you've been seeing it or not, but I have been using my dragons. Like here, I'll show you. Like how the dragons work is here. Aegon is the person, so I go into deploy your dragon, and I go Dracarys, and Balerion the Dread just smokes it, and I'm just blowing away their towers more or less. Lady Aegela the Arrogant. Can I get her to... I can't get her to marry Orys Baratheon, though. Oh my god, so they're starting a civil war now? Ugh. Fuck me. Okay, so what do I have to do to end this civil war? I have to defeat the Stormlands. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, I'm just gonna reload. That was bullshit. Okay, I have to reload before this. I don't know. I thought that was a bullshit uprising. Yeah, I've never tried I tried playing The Witcher 1 and I got bored. And I tried playing The Witcher 2 and I got bored. So, yeah, I've never really played The Witcher games. I just couldn't get through them. Oh, okay, cool. I have a heir now. Sweet. Okay, I'm going to raise the Lannister Bannerman. Okay, and I'm going to say Dracarys and blow this up. All kneel before the dragon. Okay, I'll grant her the kingdom of the Stormlands. Wait a minute, how the fuck is she my... What the fuck? How did she become my... Okay, this doesn't make any sense. This is a fucking game bug. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some shit to try to get this to work properly. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to surrender in this war because I have to get this over immediately. Then I need the event to fire to proclaim the... Oh, I can't declare the Kingdom of Westeros yet? Well, fuck that. Okay, let's see here. Can I do anything about the factions? Okay, I'm gonna plot to kidnap her and see if I can do that. Okay, let me see here. Can I convince any of these people to join in? Let's see here. Send gift. Invite to plot. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to fight this retarded civil war. So just pull all my troops together and hopefully I can end this pretty quick. I will say this, I will be killing all of my vassals who revolted once this war's over. This is bullshit. Okay, so let's go take Storm's End, and hopefully that'll end this war right away. Lord Commander of the Friend Zone. The Authority was a false god. He was a false god, but it's, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Oh, the war ended. Oh, okay. Well, that civil war was fairly easy to deal with. Okay, yes, reappoint my own council. Oh, so there was another Durandon. Okay, so I'll just leave them in charge of that. Argent, are you a mad king? Maybe. Okay, let's see here. Will the River Lords submit to me? So I have a choice now. I can invade Dorne next, or I can try to deal with the bullshit in the Riverlands. I think I'm going to try and deal with the bullshit in the Riverlands. So let's go to war with... Oh, I can't go to war with Heron? Really? That's weird. Okay. Alright, I have a new clutch of eggs, so I'm going to give some eggs to my children. Granted dragon egg. Let's see. Granted dragon egg. Oh no, I can't. Okay, I guess I need another one. Yeah, I gotta give what's his name credit. I admit I actually think Visenya is hotter than Rhaenys, but that's just me. I prefer girls who are a bit bustier. So, yeah. I don't know, I guess that. Let's see here. Aegon doesn't have the traits, the strong trait? That's really weird. Okay, so I'm going to invade Dorne next. Dorne should be relatively easy to conquer. Oops. Okay, so the reach... Okay, so it looks like they've all joined me. Alright, so after I beat this, I could invade the... What's it called again? No, playing as a wildling really sucks. You can't conquer anything in the wildling areas. Basically, what happens is if you conquer anywhere beyond the wall, it just immediately collapses. You just get revolts. The AI will just spam revolts until you give up. It's kind of bullshit because you don't actually lose. You just aren't able to do anything. Let's see here. Am I a member of the Thought Patrol? I am the Lord Commander of the Thought Patrol. Oh, that's Euron Greyjoy. Actually, it's really based what Sam's father Randall Tarly did. See, there was a woman who was a prostitute who was following along with the camp, and she had multiple venereal diseases. So, yeah, so she had multiple venereal diseases. So what he did was, because she was giving diseases to his men, is Randall Tarly had his men wash her vagina out with lye. Now, if you know anything about lye, that probably killed her, but it was fucking based. Okay, let's see here. I'm getting more children. Why can't... Let me deploy my dragon. Where's the option to deploy my dragon? Fuck. No, I don't want to get involved in those wars. Yeah, I really hate Ygritte. I hate all the wildlings. The wildlings are all annoying. I mean, Tormund Giantsbane is kind of cool, but overall I find them pretty obnoxious. Sam is really annoying. Dorne is funny because Benny Offenwise referred to Dorne as being the greatest place on earth because of how sexually liberated and feminist it is, and how Dorne is their Brazil and how it's the greatest place on earth. Arjun, you should follow me on Insta. I don't have Instagram. That's kind of the issue. You know nothing. It's annoying. I don't know if it's as annoying as Corn. Probably the most annoying thing in the series is Corn. The Raven saying Corn constantly. Let's see here. Right. How many children do I have? Cool. Okay, I have multiple sons. That's good. Yeah, you know nothing. Jon Snow is really annoying. But Ygritte is just annoying in general. Okay, let's see here. Hopefully it'll let me use my dragon now. Because for whatever reason, the event... Why can't I use my dragon? How's the trait dragon? Oh, I can't use dragons in the desert. I see. Okay. Alright, I see why I can't use them. Alright. Okay, that's interesting that they put that in the game. Okay, that makes sense. I assume that's in the game to prevent you from just being able to curb stomp Dorne. But I'm going to curb stomp Dorne anyways, because I'm Aegon the fucking Conqueror. And that's just what Aegon the Conqueror does. Okay, let's see here. Alright, let's Scorch Sunspear. And I've won this war, so Dorne is now part of the Targaryen Empire. So I'll be able to do the Iron Throne now. Okay. So the war is over, and all the kingdoms rejoin. So now I can fire the event and proclaim the Westeros. Okay, I get to establish the King's Guard now. Bring me the greatest knights in the realm. Okay, so I have the King's Guard now. Long live the Dragon King. Let's see here. I want a crown of Valyrian steel. That sounds good to me. Bring me the greatest knights in the realm. Let's see here. Construct a flagship. Convert to Westerosi. Yep, I'm going to convert to Westerosi. Valyrian. Bring me the greatest knights in the realm. Getting people to join the King's Guard is pretty difficult. What do I think of the Elder Scrolls series? I've never really liked the Elder Scrolls games, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. I've just never been able to get into them. I guess I wasn't around when... what's the one that everybody likes? I'm trying to remember what the one that is universally beloved. She will be educated at court. Let's see here. Assign Guardian. Yeah, so it looks like I'm having trouble establishing the King's Guard. Okay, so yeah, I don't have anybody available to join it, so that's kind of annoying. Let's see here. Yeah, the High Sparrow was based. I'm sad the High Sparrow's dead. Okay, let me see if I can grant it to... Grant title, Kingdom of the Stormlands. What the hell? Okay, I have to reload. Sorry, it's weird with just how some of the events or chains are not firing properly. Okay, so before like another event fires, I will grant the Kingdom of the Stormlands to to Ori's Baratheon. Okay, none of them are worthy to guard me. Okay, let's see here. Now, no one's surrendered to me, which is kind of weird, because what often will happen is people will just surrender to someone with a dragon, because they have no desire to fight someone with a dragon, because it's difficult to fight people with dragons. So, yeah. Westeros looks really small. Westeros is huge. No, what happens is there's the Mega War system in this game. Oh my god, it fucking crashed again. Oh, fuck you, Paradox. And your fucking shitty games that just constantly crash. As I was saying in my IQ video, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Khal Drogo's IQ was like 80. Khal Drogo is not very intelligent. He seems to like barely be able to talk. Hmm. Okay. Oh my god, am I gonna have to keep doing this shit over and over again? It looks like I'm probably gonna have to. I guess I just have to save every time anything happens. In case the game crashes, because it seems to crash constantly. Anyways, guys, I think that's probably enough for tonight. My voice is starting to get tired, so I think I'll talk to you all later. Have a good